Okay, I'm here with Jewel Burks, who is the CEO of PartPic. Jewel, thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So before we talk about the company, all the cool things you're doing, give us a little bit of your personal background.
Sure. So I am originally from Nashville, Tennessee. Went to Howard University in DC, and shortly after that moved out to California to start my career at Google. So was working in enterprise sales at Google for a couple years before getting a little homesick and wanting to move back to the South. So moved to Atlanta a little over 3 years ago and totally switched industries and began to work in parts distribution, so for a large industrial distributor, and kind of got this idea that part search is really tough and was very difficult for our customers, and so wanted to bring what I had learned at Google in terms of having kind of a technological lens on everything to this industry that's multi-billion-dollar industry but pretty antiquated as it relates to technology. And so that's really kind of how the idea for PartPic came about, and have been building it over the past 2 years almost. And now just getting to the point where we've raised some money and got some customers and really kind of moving full steam ahead on building and growing that business.
So talk a little bit about what PartPic does and how it helps your customers help their customers.
Sure. So PartPic is visual search for replacement parts. And what we're doing is we've built computer vision technology that can extract features from a parts image. And when I say parts, we're specifically focused on things like nails, bolts, screws, washers, so more industrial parts at this point. We'll be moving into automotive and electrical later, probably next year. And so yeah, we built this computer vision technology that can essentially from an image of a part detect exactly what that part is down to a part number. And so we are licensing that technology to distributors, manufacturers, and retailers to put inside their mobile apps and on their websites. And the idea there is that people don't have to struggle to find the parts they're looking for. They can just snap a picture of something they want to replace, and we can tell them exactly what it is. But really, we're just making our customers look good because their customers don't have to struggle to find the things they need anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's really cool. Now, you're helping your customers help their customers, but you also, I don't know if it's your side job, but you also help people just from a business perspective, help them get found online.
Yes.
And I'll talk a little bit about that. And particularly, we're in 2015, and there's so many different things that people can do to get found online. Maybe you could talk about how successful, particularly small businesses, are currently, and some of the things that they can do to be more successful.
Yeah, so I do have a role with Google where I help business owners leverage the power of the web. So we're understanding now that 90% of all purchases are researched and they take place online. And so in order for a business to be successful today, you have to have a really great web presence, and you have to know how to get people to your, whether it's website, your social media channels, and that takes work. It's not just turn it on and hope for the best. It really takes some skill and some tips that you can acquire, and that's really what my job is to help business owners understand what they can do to really grow their business utilizing online resources.
Talk about how they're doing that from a mobile perspective, and how different is it to kind of make sure it's easy to get found on a mobile device versus just on the web?
Yeah, so I mentioned that 90% number, and what we're seeing now is majority of that traffic is coming from mobile devices, so cell phones and tablets. Gone are the days where people are carrying around big bulky laptops or just doing all their work on a desktop. People are really using their mobile devices to make these same purchasing decisions. And there's a huge aspect of local in that. So when people are in your neighborhood where your business is, you want them to be able to find you. And so local and mobile is just, those are buzzwords, but they're actually super important to the success of business these days. So I talk about how you can make your website mobile friendly, how you can optimize for mobile so people have a really great experience when they see your site. And those are, again, super important to growing business online.
What about maybe help people understand the difference between making your site mobile optimized versus, do we need a mobile app?
Yeah, so that's a really great question, and I get that a lot. I'd say probably about 75% of the time, a mobile site is fine. You don't need to have a mobile app. The investment of building a mobile app for the average business, it really isn't worth it. It depends on your business. I'd say every business you have to kind of evaluate it for yourself, but typically a really clean, easy to use mobile site will serve the purpose for the majority of businesses. Sometimes if you go into developing a mobile app, then you're going to spend a lot of time and money and resources on something that's not going to have a huge step jump in the success of your business. So it does matter, and it takes some kind of evaluation on what is it that you want to achieve, what do you want people to be able to do when they land on your mobile site or your app. And understanding also there's so much competition as it relates to app, and there's really, people use a core of 10 apps typically on their phone. They might have downloaded 100, but the ones that get the daily use are the set 10. So do you want to compete with that, or do you want to just give the resources to a mobile friendly site?
You mentioned a keyword, competition. I think every business, but small businesses are forced to compete with other folks that are trying to hit their target audience. As they begin to do the things that you teach folks, how long does it take for them to start seeing some tangible things?
Yeah, so that really depends. I think a lot of people go into all of this and they think it's going to just be an instantaneous, money's flooding in because of these changes, but it really does take time, and it really takes kind of understanding the metrics associated with each of these small changes you might make. So that's why I'm a really big advocate for analytics. Google Analytics obviously is great, and it helps people make more informed decisions about the changes that they're making on their website, what's actually making an impact and what isn't. And so I really encourage people to follow those pieces in understanding the whole picture of what can actually impact their business over time, and understanding that it is it's a effort that can take place over time. It's not going to just be a one day run it and it's done.
Not the,
Yeah.
Well, what are some of the metrics that you really key in on that they can pay attention to and track over time?
Yeah, so I really want people to understand when it comes to their site, the thing that's most important is, what is your call to action? What do you actually want people to do when they get to your site? Are you wanting them to purchase on your site? Are you wanting them to give you a call? Are you wanting them to come to your location? Whatever that is that you want people to do, you're going to want to put conversion tracking against that particular call to action. And so those are the type of metrics that are going to make a difference in your business. Site visits, that's great. You want to get eyes on your site so they can do those calls to action, but the most important thing is, how does this visit correlate to money in my pocket? At least that's the most important thing to me.
Right.
So you want to make sure that the call to action on your site is super clear. They don't have to kind of scroll through and see your bio and your picture before they get to the call to action. You want them to see call me now or buy now, whatever it is, right there at the top of your site.
Sign up for this.
Yes.
Join that. Is there a big difference between somebody who has an e-commerce site and optimization versus somebody who has maybe more of an offline business that they're using their website to convert folks to come in?
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly things that you can do and things you're going to keep in mind that are going to be a little bit different from an e-commerce versus more of an informational site. But that key element of whatever the call to action is, being very clear and above the fold, rings true across both. So if you're looking at e-commerce, there are a lot of really great sort of templatized or helpers, so like Shopify, for example, that can help you in building those sites and making them really clean and easy for people to navigate. And also things like the images you use. So if you're selling clothes online, for example, that makes a big difference. You want to make sure that the images are clean and crisp and make people actually want to buy. And then as it relates to more of the offline businesses, people sometimes think, well, I have a brick and mortar, so maybe the website isn't as important. That's not true. The website is the new billboard, is the new phone book. Whatever people were previously using to find businesses, that is what online is now. So you really have to make the investment in a great website as well, even if your business is offline.
Very good. We had a great conversation with Jewel Burks. And Jewel, could you tell people where they can learn more about your company, PartPic, and also some of the things that we just talked about?
Sure. So I'll give you lots of hashtags and ats. So I can be found at Jewel Melanie on social media, Jewel Melanie. It's my first and middle name. More information about growing your business online, you can follow at Excel with Google, and use the hashtag Accelerate with Google, hashtag Accelerate with Google. And you can also follow Accelerate with Google on Google Plus for lots of tips and tricks. And also join the small business community, Google Small Business Community on Google Plus. Then for information about PartPic, you can go to partpic.com and follow at PartPic on Twitter.